Previously, Kim had given June a mission to feed all 5 of them. Afterward, Kim offered them citizenship, and they all agreed without hesitation. Together, they made their way to June's place, where Haiwon immediately went to the kitchen to prepare food. Meanwhile, Han and the others discussed possible ways to save Moon's grandmother. As the conversation continued, Kim arrived, bringing an air of confidence, and stated that he could help them achieve their goal. Now to this week's chapter. A few minutes passed, and they sat around the table in silence. The tension was thick until Haiwon spoke up, feeling stressed. She apologized for how cramped it was in the room. Han, trying to be polite, said it was fine. They had come without notice, so it didn't bother them. Just then, June arrived and announced that the food was ready. One by one, June placed bowls of rice in front of them. They could hardly believe they were having real food and began to wonder when they last had a proper meal. Haiwon, feeling embarrassed, hesitated before commenting that she wasn't sure if the food she had made would suit their taste. What seemed like a simple meal to Haiwon left the archer of the group frozen in awe. Staring at the dishes before her, she couldn't hold back her amazement. She told Haiwon that the food was incredible and admitted it had been a long time since she had eaten something so good. Haiwon, shyly brushing off the praise, explained that this was all thanks to the food Kim had given her. She admitted that if not for Kim's help, she would have only been able to serve rice and tangerines. Meanwhile, Kim noticed that Haiwon's trust level had reached 50. He smiled to himself, reminded of his mother, who always lit up with joy when guests praised her cooking. However, as the thought settled, he realized with some surprise that Haiwon's trust had reached 50 before June's. Moments later, they all began to eat, thanking Haiwon for the meal. Haiwon and June watched as their guests enjoyed the food, eating as if they hadn't had a proper meal in ages. The archer couldn't stop raving about how amazing the egg roll was, while another girl pointed out to Haiwon that the style of the egg seemed Japanese. Haiwon smiled warmly, agreeing with the observation and politely encouraging her to enjoy the meal. Just then, Haiwon's youngest daughter called out to her, drawing her attention. She wanted to eat the egg rolls too, but Haiwon gently told her that she would make them again later after the guests had left. This left her daughter feeling a bit sad. Noticing this, the archer called out to Haiwon's daughter and asked if she wanted to share the egg rolls with her. Her face lit up instantly at the thought, her excitement making the room feel a little brighter. She quickly ran over and climbed onto the archer's lap, her excitement clear. The archer couldn't help but smile, delighted to have such an adorable little girl with her. The daughter eagerly said she was ready, and the archer picked up a piece of the egg roll, gently asking Seoin to open her mouth. As the archer fed her, Seoin beamed with joy, her smile lighting up the moment. Kim then suggested that June and Haiwon join them, saying there was enough food for everyone. The two exchanged a hesitant glance, unsure at first, but eventually, they smiled and agreed, happy to be part of the gathering. As they all ate together, laughter and chatter filled the room. Kim took a moment to reflect on the warmth of the scene. The lively noise reminded him of how long it had been since he had shared a meal like this. His thoughts drifted to his mother and the care she had always shown him. A soft smile spread across his face as he silently hoped that his family was safe and well. Time had passed, and all that remained were empty dishes where the food once was. Haiwon's youngest daughter, now feeling tired, commented that she wanted to rest. Haiwon gently picked her up and asked her eldest daughter to follow her to the room for bedtime before leaving the table. Moments later, Kim decided it was a good time to get down to business. He turned to the guests and suggested they finish the conversation from earlier, questioning why they couldn't reach the grandmother's house, especially since it was so close. Han, with a serious expression, explained that it was due to the goblins. Kim raised an eyebrow, questioning if it was really goblins, recalling the hardships he faced when he first encountered them. Han nodded, confirming that it was true. He explained that the goblins had found an underground car park and turned it into their base, hiding themselves there. Kim's curiosity grew, and he asked if they knew how many goblins were down there. Han replied with a grim expression, stating that there were a few thousand goblins in that underground area. Kim paused, thinking carefully. He realized that his class only worked from ground level to level 30, meaning his skills couldn't be used effectively in the underground car park of the building they were in. Now, it made sense how the goblins could have gotten in. Han continued, explaining that the underground car park was connected to the entrance of the apartment building they needed to reach. The goblins had turned it into their base, and they didn't dare leave it. Kim, recalling the side roads, questioned Han about them, remembering there were alternative paths. Han agreed, saying their original plan had been to use the side roads to get out, but they had discovered something far worse than the goblins. Kim, now intrigued, asked what could be more dangerous than a group of goblins. Han recalled a massive shadow, commenting that it looked like a bear. He explained that they were able to escape the apartment because the bear had been fighting the goblins, giving them the chance to leave quickly. Kim, thinking about how to deal with the large monster, asked Han for more details. Han admitted he wasn't sure if it was actually a bear, as it had been too dark to get a good look. Kim then stated that they would have to confront both the goblins and that shadow at some point. Han agreed but, looking down, added that their group had limits, making it clear they weren't in the best position to fight both threats. Kim, curious about the limits Han mentioned, asked for more details. The archer spoke up, explaining that both she and Han relied on things like baseballs and arrows for combat, but they would eventually run out of things to throw or shoot. Han, however, remained calm and suggested he could solve that problem. He then asked if he could take a look at the weapon, the arrow, and the baseball. Without hesitation, Han handed them over. The system then questioned if Kim intended to list the new items, to which he agreed. The system began scanning the items, and moments later, it displayed the cost for listing both. The system asked if Kim was sure, and he confirmed, holding the archer's weapon. Kim looked around at everyone at the table and questioned if they could all use the archer's weapon. Everyone nodded silently, but none of them spoke up, knowing there was only one available, taking their silence as a yes. Kim turned to the system and stated that he wanted to acquire 5 sets of the archer's weapon and arrows. The system then placed the items Kim had bought onto the table. He turned to everyone, telling them that if they couldn't use a weapon, they should take this chance to learn, as it would be their main weapon from now on. As the items appeared, the system notified Kim that a few of Han's group members had shown an increase in trust. Meanwhile, Moon's attention was locked onto the weapons on the table. He thought to himself about how amazing Kim was and realized that if they worked together with him, they might actually be able to save his grandmother. The system then confirmed that Moon's trust in Kim had increased significantly. Han spoke up, commenting that with Kim's help, their hunting speed would increase considerably. The other girl added that, with Kim's assistance, they wouldn't have to put themselves in danger to collect arrows anymore, making their task safer and more efficient. Just then, Kim got everyone's attention and stated that before they could do anything, they needed to reduce the number of goblins in the area. Han agreed, asking when they would start hunting them. Kim firmly replied that they would begin the hunt tomorrow. Han questioned why they needed to start so soon, but Kim explained that the faster they moved, the better. Han agreed, though he still seemed unconvinced. Kim, determined, stated that they were definitely going to save Moon's grandmother tomorrow. Moon's face lit up with joy at the thought of being able to see his grandmother soon. However, Han still had doubts and questioned how they were going to manage that with all the obstacles in the way. Kim smiled confidently and answered that they would use a bait strategy to draw out the goblins. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like. It really helps me out.